If your kid's thinking about going to college, Temple might not want to be on that list anymore. A lot going on with Temple. And Philadelphia voted the best place to visit in 2024. I don't know about that. We'll get into all of that today on KRASNERLAND.
Second place was no prize, I think, too. I forget what it was, but people are complaining. This.
Sorry, I missed the start of that. The intro thing. What were you saying?
Second place was some town that nobody would go to. So maybe this isn't such a good poll.
Yeah. It's like Lonely Planet or something. Inquires has it all over the place. But Dom, if you're just joining us for the first time, here on KRASNERLAND, what we do is once a week we try to get together to kind of give a recap of the crap that's happened here in Philadelphia under the reign of District Attorney Larry Krasner, because it's been a lot. There's been a lot going on. And Dom, first off, I want to start. Steve Keeley, ace reporter, amazing reporter for Fox 29, put out this. This was 2 days ago. What you're seeing here is a picture of a burglar holding a gun up to the head of a Temple student. This is the kind of crap that we talk about here on KRASNERLAND a lot, but just another example of what Temple students have to face. Dom, it's nuts. There's no way you'd send your kid to Temple. What's got to be done at this point to actually appeal to students? Or is that an appeal in itself, the urban experience?
First of all, this is an iconic picture that summarizes KRASNERLAND. I vote that we might want to put that in there. Since we're not seeing the face of the kid, I wouldn't do it then, but kind of work that into the crime watch. And it was the second robbery of two or three robberies within 45-minute period. It's happening around 18th and Norris. And Dan, somebody's got to say, you can't be at 18th and Norris. I could do a whole debate series like Lincoln Douglas. I'll go to Temple and debate them. You can't be at 18th and Norris. So you got to stop selling that. If kids are going to go there, they have to be told, maybe even you can't be a student in good standing if you don't live inside the bubble. Otherwise, in KRASNERLAND, I don't care how many cops you have, you're going to see this. And I'm tired of the Temple Police Association just attacking this Griffin woman who is ineffectual. We know that. But no one can do anything remotely there unless you had a cop on every corner. Even then, they'll get shot. It is an out-of-control area, 18th, 19th, and Norris. And we have a montage you're going to play of these various kids being interviewed. And the one that I think hit it on the money is, he says to Steve Keeley or somebody else, well, you kind of sign up for this, knowing this when you go to Temple. A, do they? And B, if they do, why should I have any sympathy or any care for this? It's out of control. This is like an amusement park to them. They want this, quote, urban experience. This is what you're going to get.
Yeah. Hat tip over here to Philly Crime Update for putting together this great montage. It's at Philly Crime UPD, similar to Steve Keeley, just an expert on Twitter at giving us the truth about what's happening here in Philadelphia. And also, before we go to this clip, I just want to make a note. If you're joining us for the first time, we are very happy to interject chat comments. So please, if you're joining us, we would love for you to chat, lay some comments. Mark Lavelle, who ran for office, says it's not safe for sanitation workers there. It's not safe for anybody on the campus of Temple right now, I don't think. It's a shit show. Excuse my language, but it's what it is.
It's appropriate on this. Look, it never has been absolutely any good. But again, you take that under Krasner, and he's connected to it. We know that up and down the line. So the whole premise of KRASNERLAND, when you and I came up with it, is what is the power of this guy that everybody keeps on this image with deflecting to something else? You are not going to be able to get out of this until Krasner is not in office.
I can't say it's particularly shocking. A lot of stuff like that happens in the area.
Many on campus say safety is a constant topic. One freshman showed us the alerts students receive on their phones, sometimes daily. She also carries pepper spray on her keychain.
Things like this happen.
Pausing it right there. If that's not something you're common with, that's something everyone does here in Philadelphia now. Maisie, we have a pepper spray on our keychain.
Who's opting this as a college experience, Dan? I got to get some of these kids on from Temple. I think the audience would be and psychoanalyze them because they're still going there. And, a lot of them are coming from the suburbs. The last 10 years or so, Temple's population changed from people that used to live in the city, commute and all. They're coming there from the city, and that's suburbs. That's why more of them are living off campus.
Things like this happen.
Alex Odom, a safety for the Temple Owls, wasn't surprised at first about 2 armed robberies involving Temple students until we showed the senior student the photos of the gunpoint robberies and where and when.
Are you surprised or
No,
not at all?
Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Just kind of standard?
Happens, especially in the area we live in.
But they
We
are
keep it moving. We move during the daylight, and
What the heck?
if we have to move at night, we travel in groups, and that's all we can do.
You made a comment. It's like Blade Runner that you hear there.
Yeah,
It's-
Blade Runner or some dystopian. I'm trying to think of it, Dan. All right, the coast is clear.
Hey, finally some FaceTime for Mr. Keeley. We talk
there
about
you
him all
go.
the time.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Steve.
Coincidentally, we're on North Street, the same street where the guy that was groping the female students just was captured a couple of weeks ago. And here we are back again.
Well, one thing about Steve, and he just did it right there, I just want to highlight, every time he does such a good job contextualizing the situation when he does his reporting.
Yep.
Always remembers what happened recently and always be sure to bring that up to tie things together, unlike other reporters here in the city of Philadelphia.
And so right along all the campus athletic fields, you see these Philadelphia police real-time crime cameras. And
It's kind of unavoidable. It's what you kind of sign up for when you start living in this area.
There's your female you were talking about on the show, Dom.
Sorry about that, but he's the best in this whole thing. And Dan, they just blow right past it. There ought to be a lot more there. What do you mean you sign up for it? Can somebody just break down the process? Wouldn't this be a good TV 5-part series, 2 minutes each night? A, why did you come? Well, you kind of sign up for it. What do you think now? What can be done? Exactly. It's the mentality of these kids.
Minnie checking in. Hi, Minnie, down in
Hi,
Texas. Those Rangers winning the World Series last night. Not her team. She's an Astros fan.
I didn't see 1 second of the World Series. Not 1 second. My level of interest was negative.
Was
was
that intentional? Because like I was telling my friends, he's like, yeah, turn on the World Series. This is about to win. I'm like, oh, great. I get to watch Dallas beat the team that beat the Philadelphia Phillies in the last round. Like
and they beat them in 5 games. So what does that tell us? How did we lose to the Diamondbacks?
All right, sorry, a little off topic there. Back to Temple.
Yeah.
You're used to hearing all this, right?
Yes, this is very common.
No matter how smacked a gun to this Temple kid's head. Alarming, but not surprising, students sadly tell us. They've come to expect the possibility of gunpoint holdups and home invasions as part of student life here. Eventually.
This happens regularly, and it's all about, if I'm in this situation, what do I need to do? It's being prepared, knowing to just comply.
Oh,
with the
this
steps,
guy.
and hoping it doesn't happen.
It's scary, definitely, but we just tend to stay in our apartment as much as we can, honestly.
She was on the way to class and saw the gun.
I could tell that they had a weapon that was pretty harmful, obviously.
It's
kind of frightening. I mean, we kind of walk this way every day, and seeing stuff like that makes you feel a lot less safe about it.
There's nothing I can do. I mean, I'm concerned, but what am I?
There is something you can do on.
Go to another school.
Yeah, go to another school. Speak out against what's truly causing the issues here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Another thank you again to a Philly Crime Update for the awesome montage there. Really kind of putting a finger on everything that's going on with Temple. Next topic, Dom, I want to bring up is Michael actually brings it to the table. Not safe anywhere in Krasner. Look at the SEPTA bus driver who was just shot, I believe, in Mayfair. What will happen to the animal who shot that man for no reason?
Well, it was in Germantown near Abbotsford, which is a particularly bad area. And it's a woman that shot him, and she shot him. There wasn't any altercation as far as I know, Dan. Went off the bus and went back on the bus and finished him off over nothing.
2 weeks ago, we got a report from a witness on SEPTA property at Erie Station involving a woman who produced a handgun out in the public.
Fox 29 News has learned that the accused killer of SEPTA bus driver Bernard Gribben was being investigated for being the same woman with a 9mm gun just 2 weeks before.
What does that mean?
The SEPTA Erie subway station on the Broad Street line at 9:15 in the morning, October 10th. SEPTA surveillance and witness descriptions obtained by Fox 29 News show nearly identical descriptions of Zontae Capers, matching the day of the murder, from the gun to the Crocs shoes on her feet. When police showed up, she was gone, but she left a 9mm bullet behind, found near the cashier booth here on the mezzanine level. That's the same caliber used to kill the bus driver 2 weeks later. Police sources tell me she was then seen boarding the train before the police arrived at the station and then getting off the train at the Allegheny station.
We dispatched police to that incident. She was gone upon our arrival, but subsequently the investigation produced a picture of a woman who in fact had a gun in her hand, bearing the resemblance of the offender in the homicide, and that's something we're looking into now.
Same description down to the Crocs.
Same general description, braids in her hair, general appearance, weight, height. We found a bullet that was either dropped or ejected from a handgun. We don't know. We recovered that as evidence. We're following up with Philadelphia Police Department and coordinating the value of that evidence for their case as well.
Wow.
Like just to
Meanwhile,
accept the
Dan,
driver, man.
I just wanted to interject. Meanwhile, Krasner's office today, I'm on their email trail and all, sent us this long email about how diligent they were. They got a guy out of jail for murder who was convicted in 1996. That's what they're touting today.
Oh, great. Yeah. Why don't you just make life safer for us, Krasner? Do your
exactly.
job, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we're on the incompetency of SEPTA. We brought this up on today's show, but just moronic, the spelling of Philadelphia on the new sign.
I forgot how to spell Philadelphia for the first half of the show after seeing SEPTA's handiwork.
Yeah. A great comment comes in from Pam. She writes, wish Steve was still on the morning show. We fully endorse that. We do too.
Of course. I wish he had his own news organization, stevekeeley.com.
He is awesome. Let's talk a little politics, Tom. This week, some big news. John McNesby, FOP president, you see here in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Yes.
He's going to be resigning to take a job with, I guess, something in the state. I don't know what's going on there, but
it's an emergency response sort of thing, but he's in charge of it. Yeah.
So my question becomes, McNesby won't be in one of the, biggest,
right.
The general of the fight almost against Krasner. Are you concerned that with new leadership in the FOP that Krasner kind of gets an easier path to do whatever the hell he wants to do? Or do you think the FOP will stay strong and pushing back against him?
My sense is it's down to two guys. And I'm not going to say yet because I don't want to mess up one. But if it's one, I think it'll be even more ferocious. If it's the other, I have a lot of doubts. We may be the only voice then. Can you imagine that if we're the only voice left? So I'm hopeful of one guy. It will be even more intense on Krasner. If possible, it will be.
We get a message from Minnie again. Who knew that Crocs were the shoe of choice? It's a great point.
Minnie is a fashionista. Yes, Minnie noticed.
Yeah, she criticizes me for, I got to watch what I wear on these things now. Because
notice
I wear
the
a puffy
jacket again today. This is my all-purpose until it hits about 40 degrees. Then I go to something else. Can you make my head a little smaller in this, Dan? I feel like my head's taking up the screen. Oh, wait a minute.
I think it's appropriate.
Merv Griffin said, yes, attractive people with big heads are the perfect. Pat Sajak.
Jim wants to see something we talked about on today's Daily Show. We're live every day. If you just know us from KRASNERLAND, noon until 3, the Dom Giordano program. Right. So I want to see that anti-AI sweater. Yeah.
This guy right here.
So what we're talking about is, for some context here, where is it? Northern Liberties, I guess. There's a new a shop that released a new sweater, and what the sweater does is the busy design here that looks like something Bill Cosby would wear. It floods the artificial intelligence with information, not allowing them to recognize your face. So it's facial recognition blocking sweater at the cost of being incredibly unfashionable.
Well, but I wonder, will other people that think like we do, unlike Dan the Red, we don't want facial recognition, will these two see each other on the street and go, oh, they might share, invite her out. She shares the same thought pattern.
It looks like these guys just stepped out of a pro-Palestinian protest to take this picture, doesn't it?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say the people involved in this, and Dan, you know what? Let's take a note. I think we ought to get them on. They're Italians. Italian fashionistas created this.
Yeah, there are some unfashionable Italians I've seen before. You ever go to the Jersey Shore and see the Speedos that some of these hairy guys wear? I don't know if Italians should be held up as the epitome of fashion.
I think they're from Montreal. Canadians do that.
That's a good point. Minnie says Dom looks dashing, so you got to approve.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's go to something funny. I guess that was funny, but A friend of Larry Krasner has made local news again after endorsing him for his Peabody Award. He is back in the news. Take a watch.
A Gettysburg pig named Kevin Bacon was a little foot loose for nearly 3 weeks. After 18 days on the run, he was finally captured.
It took a
they got Kevin
sticky
Bacon,
bun
Dom.
filled with pet-safe Benadryl to finally capture the elusive pig. Have to remember that one. His search gained national attention. Even the real Philadelphia native actor got in on the action, posting on threads over the weekend to bring Kevin Bacon home.
Why don't you
The
post it
pig's
on Larry
owners
Krasner,
have
Kevin?
reinforced his pen with concrete below the ground to stop him from tunneling his way out again. Before, they said they put him in the pen, and every morning they'd come out and he was gone.
Yeah, well,
I wonder if the Chester County commissioners were in charge of the pig holding center. Vote early, vote often against Democrats out there in Chester County. They don't care about your safety. We know that.
He's really come a far way from all the movies. He's gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It's not looking
exactly.
too good after. And if you're unaware as to why we hate Kevin Bacon, let me see if I can pull this real quick.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, here's that guy.
His goal was to implement progressive policies and
Looks
to help
bad here.
Philadelphians rethink the criminal justice system. With big ideas on prison abolition, police reform, and the decriminalization of drug offenses and sex work offenses, and changing the system from within. Philly DA is a thrilling series that follows Larry Krasner from his unlikely rise through his first year in office, showing us what everyday activism truly looks like. But the documentary isn't just a portrait of Krasner. It's an actually welcome look at local politics, at governmental bureaucracy, and at what happens when incrementalists meet their match in big idea thinkers who want to shake the whole system down. For giving us a story, both broad.
All right, I've had enough of him. I'm sorry.
You know what?
happened?
I just want to know, when am I going to get my cameo award at the beginning of, I think, the first episode for launching on Inside Story on Larry Krasner. It's featured in there.
Did you
Kevin Bacon says, and that clown that attacked him in the first thing, who is that guy?
Now that you mentioned documentaries, I want to give a plug for Tiger Hill's documentary around Paramount.
Oh, yes.
Plus.
Yeah.
And finally, let's hear from the man himself before we get out of here, Larry Krasner, who hates when people point fingers at him, but is very quick to point fingers when he can blame others. Take a watch.
The instigator, the main person in this escape is Amin Hurst. That is what we're talking about. We're not just talking about the escape of someone
the guy next to him
who was arguably
Looks like a
one of the very
hostage.
most dangerous people in the prison. He had 4 open homicides.
At least they're not standing
He had
up.
2 open gunpoint robberies. We're talking about someone who was literally charged with murdering somebody on prison grounds.
Larry Krasner says it took 90 seconds for 18-year-old
Who's in
Amin
charge of
Hurst
this prison?
24-year-old Nassar Grant to escape the Philadelphia Industrial Correctional Center. Video of the escape shows the men opening
Just
doors
walks
that were
out.
supposed to be locked. Watch the top left corner of the screen as they dash into the day room. Another angle of that room shows an inmate walking around. You see that desk on the right side of the screen. That's where a guard is supposed to be stationed. And with the aid of an inmate, the DA says the men crawl on the ground to the day room and get outside into a prison yard through an unlocked door. Outside, the men are behind a fence line, a space where dogs were once used to patrol. When the dogs were removed, motion sensors were installed.
These poles are supposed to sense anyone who's in the area. My understanding is they work by microwave, but here's the kicker. So for anybody who's been up there, you'll know there are a lot of Canada geese that fly around. Well, over a decade ago, probably 15 to 20 years ago,
He's blaming the geese.
the Canada geese, in the absence of a dog, were landing in the dog run. And when they landed in the dog run, they were setting off the sensors. And when they were setting off the sensors, eventually someone decided to turn them off.
And while those sensors, the DA says, were not picking up movement, they were helpful as the inmates used them to climb up over the fence. And with their prison-issue clothing, they were able to cover the razor wire. The men had a 19-hour head start, the DA says, due to a sleeping guard who punched head count numbers without actually checking the cells, he says.
A count is supposed to be a count. A count is not supposed to be a nap.
He blames
By the way,
geese, Dom.
we have an international treaty with Canada. You can't do anything to those geese, as annoying as they are. Ask
Yes,
the people in Percy about that.
Just got to turn off the sensors, I guess, is the solution.
Yes.
Yeah. And Minnie asks, where are the circles for Krasner's people to stand? But it looks like this guy was the visual equivalent.
Blinking. He's
No, because I'm convinced.
Can you do a close up on the guy? Yeah.
I'm not making a joke here because I think Krasner does it because he wants to show that he has the support of people behind him, right?
Right.
So he's doing here a Zoom thing, and I feel like he still has that mindset of I want someone there supporting me.
Right.
So
The guy never says anything. Yes. Focus in on the guy here. Let's see if his. Oh my God.
Who was arguably among the very most dangerous people in the prison.
Is that Morse code?
Oh my God. Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
And get us out of here because that's what we're about to do, Dom. It's been a lot of fun today.
Okay.
A lot breaking down in Philadelphia, particularly with Temple, man. It's something that I want to see get better because the reason why I talk about Temple so much, I don't know if you know this, my dad used to be a professor there. My sister went there. My brother-in-law is a graduate of Temple. A lot of family ties to that university, and it's despicable to see what's happened there since.
Ro, Luke, and I went to LaSalle, which certainly has this week a worse record than Temple.
Yeah, absolutely horrific. The things you hear coming out of the college campuses, and with LaSalle and that professor who had to take a leave because she was so upset to see what LaSalle was posting in support of Hamas. So a lot going on, Dom, but we will pray that it's much harder to prepare for next week. And there's not much that happens in Philadelphia because as people who live in Philadelphia for a couple more weeks on my part, it's very nice to have a safe and calm city. Dom, what's happening tomorrow? Anything big going on?
Tomorrow, Eagles Cowboys, we know side question is going to be something you hate almost as much or more in the Philadelphia area, the Philadelphians hate, than the Cowboys. Of course, we've taken Krasner well off the list.
Cowboys week. It's a great time. A lot of anger. And to have a Dallas team win a World Series during Cowboys week, Dom.
Will Chris Christie be here with Jerry Jones? I'm betting the answer is yes.
Jim's heading over to Egg Harbor Township now. Jim, that's where I actually lived when I worked in the Atlantic City markets. That's pretty cool that you're hanging out there. All right, guys. Until then, we'll see you next week. And tomorrow at noon, join us for Dining with